So the way I like to define it is sometimes people talk about it as a minimal viable product. I like to think of it as a minimal viable feature. Like, what is that one thing you can build in a span of a day or 2 days to just demonstrate like the bare bones like functionality or idea or concept? Like for us, for example, one feature we worked on for a little while was a filter by color, right? It's a very loved feature in Google Sheets. You can actually sort of tag your cells by color, and then you can filter by color. The initial prototype literally took like 3 days to put together. And then we presented it to the product management team and say, hey, look at this really neat feature. They obviously said no. And then obviously it launched because they said no, whatever. It's a long story from there. But you want to find a way to sort of show something. You can't just sort of say, trust me, it's going to work. If an organization like Google is going to commit 10 engineers for 3 years, that is a massive commitment of time and money and resources. It's not going to do that based on your trust me, it's going to work. You got to find some way of measuring it. So the WebAssembly thing, what did I do? I actually forked a particular sort of benchmarking tool that somebody else created on GitHub, and then I adjusted it because it really wasn't done well. So I optimized a bunch of stuff in there. Then I showed, hey, look at these. Here's the JavaScript code. Here's the WebAssembly code. The WebAssembly is 3 times faster than the JavaScript code. We can do it this way. I pitched it. They said, yeah, we believe the numbers, but not going to work with our infrastructure. There was a bunch of other reasons. We tried to sort of get to something that worked, and we eventually did get to like a small prototype that sort of proved the concept. And then once we saw that, we're like, okay, we can see a glimmer of hope here. We can see that in their current path, we've essentially reaching the limiting function of what we can do with JavaScript. We need something else. And then the WebAssembly looked like the right thing, and then we did that, and that sort of enabled that huge next leap forward of things. But you got to get that small proof of concept, because if you don't have that, you don't have a feel for like what is going on in there. And like our initial experimentation with it actually showed that one of our biggest blockers was the fact that WebAssembly didn't have the right debug tools, it didn't have the right compile tools, it didn't have the right like workflow tools. It wasn't even for lack of desire on our end. It was actually effectively, we came to the WebAssembly team and we told them, listen, we'd love to use your tools, but we can't because we just don't have the right infrastructure. We don't have the right ecosystem. We're blind. So go fix that and then come back to us. And so we were able to give them feedback. And then that sort of became a little bit of a cycle. So, but we couldn't have done that without just doing a small prototype, at least getting something. And so I'm a huge proponent of just, if you can prototype it in 3 days, in 5 days, in a week, you can do that. And this is something I tell all new managers, find ways to enable prototyping on your team. I guarantee you that when you're working on year-long projects, 1 week isn't going to make a difference, whether you ship early or late. Nobody's schedule is that precise, that if you're working on an 18-month-long project, that it's so well planned that having an engineer step aside and do something for like, a week is going to throw the whole thing out of the window.
Oh, interesting. So you almost recommend like proof of concept even before, let's say, planning or like really detailed scoping of a project.
Yeah. Just play around with it. Just figure it out. It's like, is it even going to work? Is it something that's usable? Get it into users' hands or even your hands or friends' hands or somebody. Sometimes if you do the filter by color thing and you're like, oh man, this really isn't, people are going to be able to use it as an example. Or you're like, oh my God, this is exactly what we needed, right? So it's like, it suddenly clicks. There's nothing like showing your end users what the product is like than telling them. It's like show, not tell. In writing, they always tell you show, don't tell, right? Same thing with product. When you're building it and experimenting, show, don't tell.
If you enjoyed this clip, make sure you watch the entire video, which has a lot more content just like this. And if you want to make sure you don't miss any of our episodes where we talk to leaders in the tech industry, from software engineers to product managers to engineering managers, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and also click the notification bell. And that's all the time we have for this week. I'll catch you guys on the next episode.